It is one of the most well-known stories that Jesus told. You may have heard it. There was a man, we assume very well off, and he has 2 sons. They all seem to be happy working the family farm. They have servants and workers to help and to do the hard stuff. They're like James Dean's family in East of Eden or the Cartwrights on Bonanza. Then one day, the younger son, feeling a little restless, comes to the father and asks for his share of the old man's estate. Didn't want to wait for the man to die. No, heartlessly, he wants it now. Now! You can imagine the parents in the crowd listening to Jesus tell this story the first time, laugh in disbelief and discomfort. Perhaps others are laughing with that glad he's not my kid kind of laugh, or the my kid better not try that laugh, ha ha. No one dared say, over my dead body, because that is exactly what the kid in Jesus' story was saying. Dad, you are as good as dead to me. Don't make me wait for it. I'm out of here. Bye-bye. Perhaps there was even more laughter of disbelief when the father gave in with no debate. I would never, says every reasonable parent listening to this story. Is he nuts? Shouts at least 10 of them. Others, with that knowing smile, say, must have spared the rod, 'cause the child is spoiled. The story continues. A few days later, the young son packs his bags and heads off. Jesus' audiences go wild. WTF, reacts some. What did you expect to happen, laughs others. While still others are outraged. This kid is unbelievable. How much more brazen can he get? Jesus continues. The son travels to a distant country and squanders his inheritance in desolate living. Now, someone in the audience must have stood up at this point and sung out, call him irresponsible. At least a few people must have been challenging Jesus for creating a character that has gone way beyond comprehension. Oh, this is too much, Jesus. No one is this stupid, this careless, this selfish. Oh, how the crowd must have laughed at the young son's expense. But Jesus continued on, spinning what many must have thought a very tall tale, akin to Mark Twain or Washington Irving. A famine hits the land, Jesus tells his audience, who are now accusing him of laying it on just a little too thick. And just to prove their criticism accurate, Jesus adds that the only job the boy can get is tending pigs. Now, you know how you get when you're watching a movie where the hardships endured by the characters take on such epic proportions that the tragedy starts to turn into a comedy. With every calamity, you laugh rather than cry as you say to the screen, come on, this is too much. What else is going to go wrong? But you stick with it just to see what else can go wrong. Finally, Jesus gives his audience a plot turn that they, and that we, can sink our teeth into. The wayward son decides to go home. Ha! Is there no end to this kid's chutzpah? Thinks anyone with sense listening to this story? Oh, I can't wait to see what the father does or says to him now, cries the parent who would know just what to say and do. The thought of, oh, this'll be good, draws the entire audience to the collective edge of their seat. Jesus adds in the detail that the kid is planning to humble himself before his father and ask to be taken back in as a servant. But how will the father ever be able to just ignore the fact that the good-for-nothing son has squandered his inheritance, reduced the man's estate by half? Oh, the listeners are bracing with delight for a big showdown. It's why we love these family dramas. We look forward to some good, tragic-infused catharsis, watching someone else's tribulation from a safe distance. But there will be no tragedy here. The comedy continues. Or shall we call it a farce? Because Jesus tells his audience that the Father is standing out on the porch, watching for the Son to come home. Are you kidding me? After all that kid has done, the Father is wasting his time just watching for the kid? Doesn't he have better things to do with his time? He still has half a farm to run. Think all the reasonable and responsible parents and farmers in the audience. And the outrage is fueled even more as Jesus tells us that the Father runs out to meet the kid, wraps his arms around him as if nothing has happened. And to top it all off, he won't even consider the kid's proposal that he be treated as a servant. Instead, the Father treats him like a conquering hero returned, a new suit of clothes, a fancy ring, and a big, big, big party. This father is a joke, any self-respecting parent thinks. This parent is God, Jesus tells us. And the joke is on us and anyone or institution that tries to tell people differently. And there are way too many preachers, teachers, churches, and so-called evangelists who have clearly missed the opportunity to share the joy of a God who is so defined by love that we can only be welcomed home. In fact, the joke is really on them when you consider the possibility that the Son who is squandering the rich inheritance of the Father is anyone who does not share the good news of God's abundant mercy and perfect grace with others. Yes, this is a funny story that we are wise not to laugh at, but instead laugh with and into. A footnote. Because of this story, popular use has the word prodigal, suggesting one who runs away and returns home. Oh, the prodigal son has returned. The word actually means spendthrift and extravagant. So in light of that, I ask, should it be titled The Prodigal Son or The Prodigal Father?